Welcome to Hammer Time Source SDK Tutorials. I'm Dragonhill, and today we'll be creating our first level. Now you should have already installed Steam. Here I'm going to go over to my Start button and select Steam. Once this loads up, you'll see some options here in the top. We're going to select Library. And here we have several options: Games, Media, and Tools. Choose Tools, and here we have Source SDK. Now I've already installed it. You probably will see it as not installed. Go ahead and select it and choose the install options. Once you're installed, you can come back here. Now I'm going to turn around and select Source SDK. This may take a few moments to load. Here we are. We'll be using the Hammer editor. Before we choose this, we want to make certain that we have our correct engine version and current game selected. Engine version, you'll have three options: 2006, 7, and 9. These all correlate to the different years that Valve released different types of games. We'll be selecting 2006. Current game, we're going to select Half-Life 2. You'll have other options here. If you wanted to make levels for any of these other mods, you may select them. If you wanted to mod for Team Fortress 2 or some other game, you may need to choose a different source engine to select that. Now, if you have not played Half-Life 2 yet, you must go and do so. If not, we will run into an error when we try to run Hammer because your configuration file has not been written to yet. Since I've already played the game, I'm going to go up and select the Hammer editor. Here we are with the Hammer editor. Currently, you'll see a lot of options have been grayed out because we don't have any levels open right now. So the first thing we're going to do is hit the File and hit New. Now our viewport is opened up. And we'll see here on the left, top, and right toolbars, more options are now highlighted. In our viewport, we have the camera view, we have the top, we have the side, and we have the front views. The top, front, and side views are in wireframe. The camera will be showing us polygons and our regular view that we normally see in game. Now, we can't show you how to use the camera right now because there's nothing to look at. There's no points of reference. If you were to move the camera around, you couldn't tell. So the first thing we're going to do is place some geometry so we have something to reference when we're looking around. Let's go over here to the block tool, select that. Now we're going to go over to the top view. And let's pick something in the upper left corner here. Now using the left mouse button, hit click. And now by holding down and dragging, we're going to create a brush or six-sided geometrical block. The dotted outlines shows us where the object will be once we create it. To create it, we'll hit the enter button. Go ahead and do that now. The object is now turned red. But you'll see here on our main viewport, we can't actually see it because our camera is not placed correctly. So the first thing we need to do now is go to the camera tool here, select that. Now go ahead and go over the upper view and pick anywhere kind of a little ways from the red square. Click once and now holding it, drag. And this now creates our view. Now you'll see in our camera view, we now actually have something to look at. We can turn around and grab the camera itself and move it around to change our view. You can grab the end of the red line and move that around too. Now to create another camera, you'll use the shift button and pick another point and click. And now drag. What we've done is we've created another camera to view from. We can take this camera and we can move this to a different perspective. Let's see if we can't get a different view here. There we go. There. By using the page up, we can cycle between the two cameras. Page down also cycles between the two cameras. Now, generally, this isn't the way we normally want to use our camera, but this is one way you can do it. The other way is by, when our mouse is over the camera view, just hit the Z key once. You'll notice that the mouse cursor is turned into some crosshairs. This is now like first-person FPS mode, go ahead and use the WASD keys to move forward, backwards, left, right, and look around with the mouse. This is exactly how you would maneuver inside your game. And you can see here that I'm circle strafing around the square. That is about all we need to know now for camera manipulation. If ever you want to stop doing this mode, you just hit the Z key again. So hitting the Z key puts us in this mode, hitting Z key takes us out, and now we can turn around, we can select things if we want. Now that we've shown you how to use the camera, I want to show you two more things before we actually create our room. First thing is the viewports. We can take any one of these viewports and we can maximize it by hitting the Shift Z key. Go to the top view, hit Shift Z key. Get the idea. We can use this at any time where we want to see in higher detail whatever we're viewing. The second thing is how to manipulate brushes once we've created them. The first thing we want to do is go over here to the upper bar here, go to Selection Tool. Click on that. Now you'll notice, if you haven't already, we can click somewhere in the void to unselect, and then click on an object to select it. You'll see here in the other viewport that our brush has now been highlighted. You'll see these little white squares, and you'll actually see the dimensions. This is showing us how wide our object is, and over here how tall it is. These white squares are manipulation handles. We can select any one of them, and by left clicking and then dragging, we can increase or decrease the size of the brush. Selecting on the diagonal changes both dimensions. Now if we were to turn around and just click in the center and then drag, we can move the brush around. Be very careful about selecting the brush in the very center. Sometimes you'll grab the origin and move the origin instead. You don't want to do this. Now if you click on the object a second time, you'll notice that all the manipulation handles have now turned into circles. This allows you to freely rotate the object. If you click on it a third time, you'll see that the handles are only in the centers, and these are for skewing the object. Place the object back where it was in the beginning. As you can see here, I made a slight little error. Let's use the scroll wheel to zoom in. You'll see now that I'm off the grid. This is somewhat important. Let's look down here at the bottom. You'll see here that snap grid is on, and the units are at 64. We can change snap grid by hitting Shift W. You'll see now that the grid is off. I want you to turn on, hit snap grid, and turn it back on. The grid can be changed from 64 units by using the bracket keys found next to the P key on your keyboard. We can decrease or increase the grid. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to decrease the grid down to, well, let's say 16. Now I can go back up here and I can move my brush back to where it belongs. Now it's perfectly square. I'll turn around and select it one more time to get out of that mode. And I can go back here and on the snap grid. Let's use the bracket key. Let's increase that back up to 64. There. Now we have it right where it was from the very beginning. Now what we want to do is we actually want to create walls and a ceiling for this square, for this floor that we made. The first thing I want to do is, it's a subtle thing, and it's a pet peeve of mine, but I'm going to take this and move it down one. You'll see if we Shift Z and then zoom in, you're going to see these blue lines in the grid. These blue lines represent the 0 of the world. So where they intersect is 0, 0, and as we move out, we increase in value or decrease in value depending which way we go. The reason why I moved the level down one is because 0, 0 is where everything begins when we first load the level. And by having the floor right there, means chances are we aren't in the floor. As a matter of fact, if we drop it down one more, that might be helpful, but I'm going to keep it right there. This is the top of our floor, and it's right at 0, 0. Let's hit Shift-Z to get out of this. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I want to start creating walls and a ceiling for this. So let's go over here to our block tool again. Select this. And then we can start here at one of these corners in our side view, and then drag over and up to create a wall. We'll create a wall that's 512 units high, 64 across. And you'll notice in our other view that the tool itself is trying to be smart about how we want the brush laid out. So it made a brush that's the same width as the brush we have here in the game. Go ahead and hit Enter. We're going to do the same thing for the other side. Select a corner and then just drag up and try to get it the same height as the other wall. And hit Enter. Then we can go over to the other side view and once again create the other walls. Now let's just say you accidentally created a wall that didn't quite line up. Go ahead and hit Enter. Well, like I said, you can turn and hit the Select tool and then you can just drag it over. And now it's perfect. Let's use our camera tool, or our camera mode. Let's take a look. And as you can see, we now have a room with a floor and four walls. Let's put a ceiling on this. We can go over here to our side view, or actually first, go over to our block tool, select that. Go over to our side view, and let's just put a lid on that. Ah, didn't quite work, did it? That's okay. For some of you it will work, some won't. We're just going to take our tool and just move it over. Take this, move it over, and make it fit. There, now it fits. Hit Enter, and now we have a sealed room. This is very important. In the source engine, if your rooms are not completely sealed and you go to compile them, which we will show you a little bit later, you will get what's called a leak or a light leak, and your map may or may not run. So now here we have our six-sided room. I'm going to try and take a look. And there. This is your first room. And our next moment, we're going to show you how to put objects in here, player start, and a light. Now that we have a completed room, we need to just put in a player start and a light, and we can compile and actually play this room. So first thing I want you to do is go over here to Entity Tool and select that. Then go over here and you'll see Categories, Entities, Objects, Info, Player Start. If it doesn't say this, all you need to do is just scroll through the tab here and then select it. Now go anywhere you want on the floor and just left click on it. And there's our player start. The next thing we need is a light. So go back over here to Objects and you can just type in light. Or you can try looking for it in the list. Then go back over here somewhere on the floor, go ahead and left click on it. There's our light. Just to clean things up, we're going to hit the selection tool, and while we have the light selected, we're going to go over to our side view, and we're just going to move it up a little bit so it's not just illuminating the floor. Now we need to save our level. Let's go to File, hit Save As, and go ahead and type in my first room .vmf. Hit Save. Now all we have to do to play this game, or this level, is come up here to this Run Map button, or F9. Select that. We'll be given some options: Run BSP, Run Viz, and Run RAD. Leave them all at normal. You can tick off HDR if you want. And this option here, don't run game after compiling, go ahead and tick that off so it will run after you're finished, and then hit OK. Once it compiles, it'll start automatically running the game, and you'll be in game and see what you've got.